And again, good evening, everyone, to our session on the Digerati Living Learning Community. My name is Perry Martin. I'm the program director for Digerati. And again, we'll give an overview of what Digerati is about. We also have some folks who are on the call tonight that are currently living in Digerati and can speak to the community and certainly their experiences in their first year at Tech. We may have some other folks that join us as the call goes on. And certainly you can have, anytime that you have questions, you can certainly feel free to post them in the chat or raise a hand and ask a question. It'll be very informal this evening. I'll stall a little bit for time. We're at 6:02, and so I know there may be some others who join. So I will give us a couple more minutes to get started before I introduce some of our guests on the call, and then we'll go from there. Nolan, I don't recognize the building you're in. What building is that?
This isn't Pritchard.
Oh, it is in Pritchard. Are you in the
Yeah, this
lab?
is that weird like office space that's off to the side. I just figured out this is like a week ago, but
Okay.
Abdullah, what's going on?
Yeah, I couldn't quite pick up on the background there. And
Yeah, it's the conference room off to the side. I just found this out a week ago. Don't we have an office in here?
we do.
Okay.
We'll talk about that some. And Christian's got the representing with the official Real Deal Digerati background. So
Christian got it on for us.
yeah. I'll give it maybe
Oh,
one more minute for any late arrivals that are coming on.
are you in D2? Or do I? Oh, kind of doing like D2 pillars.
Nah, I'm at Gilbert.
Oh, wow. Okay, you're on the other side of campus.
Yeah. I've been here like all day pretty much.
Abdullah, have you been there the entire time since we last spoke?
Well, after I left from you, I went to Calc and then I came back.
Okay. So yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and get started. We're at 6:04. And so again, appreciate you all joining us. I see Jacob, Nico, and Ashton who are joining us. And the ones with the cameras on are current Digerati students, and there may be some others who join. Guys, I'll start, have you all introduce yourselves, and then I'll get into kind of an informal discussion on what Digerati is, and we'll have others chime in. Christian, I'll start with you. If you don't mind introducing yourself, where you're from, and what you're studying.
So, I'm Christian. My major is data-centric computing. I fall under the computer science department. I'm from Gloucester, Virginia. It's near Yorktown.
Okay.
That's all.
Next on my screen, I see Nolan.
Yeah, so I'm Nolan. I'm planning on returning next year as well. I am a political science major that focuses on national security. Coming from the Yorktown area, so not too far away from you, Christian. Is there anything else in this, or is that about it?
I think that covers it. We can,
All right,
and
awesome.
we can share more of your experience a little bit later. Abdullah, I've got you next on my screen.
I'm Abdullah Kargbo. My major is biomedical engineering. I'm
And-
from Stafford, Virginia.
And let's see, next up, I've got Kayla on my screen.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm Kayla. I'm electrical engineering, and I'm also from Stafford.
Hey, good deal. Well, what I'll do, and again, as I'll recap, this will be an informal discussion about what is Digerati. So I will, those of you who are watching from Virginia Tech know that I'm not in my normal office. I'm in Dr. Lester's office, so obviously I'm away from my notes and normal screen. So I'll keep it somewhat informal. But As you may be familiar with, at Virginia Tech, we have a concept called living learning communities. Living learning communities are found in most colleges these days. They began in kind of the name of living learning communities began in the 90s. Virginia Tech began a living learning community back in the late 90s. The Center for the Enhancement of Engineering Diversity at Tech formed initial living learning communities approximately 20 years ago. And so last week, if you were on the call, you heard about the Hypatia and Galileo living learning communities. This past year, SEED, our office, began a new living learning community specifically for students interested in information technology. And this is called Digerati. And so in a nutshell, what Digerati is a common experience where students live together, do some common programming, and do take a common course that centers around a mutual interest in information technology. Now, one thing I want to clarify is the word interest in information technology. You do not have to be in a specific major to be in Digerati, and you do not even have to be in the College of Engineering to be in Digerati. As Nolan shared, he's in a political science major looking at national security. Certainly an interest and a linkage there to information technology. We like that we have some majors outside of engineering in the mix. That's important to us. And so again, as you're considering what majors you go in, know that the first question you probably need to consider is one, your own interest in information technology. The second interest we'll speak a little more to is what kind of community are you interested in being a part of during your first year at Tech and potentially beyond? And we'll speak to that more in Digerati. But let me get the highlights and then we'll get into more discussion. So as Digerati is in its first year, everyone you see on camera has been through or is currently in their first year of college at Virginia Tech. And so in that first year, one of the challenges many students face is how do you find your people? You know, to use that phrase there, who are people who have similar interests, maybe a similar perspective, background. And so Digerati is an opportunity to bring people together who have similar perspectives, similar interests, but also we recognize a diversity of backgrounds and a diversity of majors. And so with information technology, because it really is ingrained in so much of our daily living, IT gives us an opportunity to really have some diverse interests, but also talk about some of the emerging topics related to information technology. One of the things that's required of being in Digerati, and it's common in many living learning communities, is that we have a weekly course. Now, our class is by design something that hopefully enhances what you're doing and does not add unnecessary work to an already rigorous first year schedule. Our class meets on Fridays at 8 a.m. And I'll see smirks from some of our folks there. You know, you're thinking, okay, Fridays 8 a.m. How does that work out? The reason Fridays at 8 a.m. is this. It is least likely to interfere with other courses. Secondly, it is in the building. Our class is in the building where you live, so it's rather easy to get to. The third reason I consider to be the most important. One of the things I think that's important to students who are going through their first year and any year of college is to have those moments in the week when you can kind of take a breath. I hope I get nods of agreement in this, but I tried to make the course in Digerati to be something where you can have a little bit of breath of fresh air. There's nothing that's incredibly heavy in our content. It's not a traditional sit in rows course. We come into a lounge and we have breakfast foods. And as Kayla can attest to, we have the most wonderful breakfast drinks ever. Kayla loves our drinks, by the way. We'll get into that a little more later. But You can have breakfast together. You can have a breather at the end of the week. And typically what we have is a guest speaker from a different perspective of information technology share a relevant topic in IT. I will also say that ingrained into what we do in the course and in Digerati is we are focused on your academic success. Above all else, I believe that you need to be looking at um, what helps you be successful in college. So we will get into conversations about prepping study skills, focusing on academics, um, scheduling for time. All those things will be part of what we do. The first semester of the Digerati course, I like for it to be about your success in college and let's get your feet on solid ground. If we have parents, family members who are out there listening in, I hope you understand as a parent myself, it's important to me that as you come into higher education, let's get you in a good place where the study habits, the focus on the academics is right there. That's the first semester. The second semester gets a little more into a focus on the individual career paths. And so this semester, the students you see on camera here all have an option of pursuing one of three central projects. The students can either go through an entire job search and application process. They can either that or apply for a research grant or submit a research proposal, or they can put in a proposal for a new business or product. Now, these are all done in mock, but the examples and process will be real processes. For our students who will be applying for a job, they're tasked with finding an actual job, and we will set up people who will go and take them through the interview process start to finish, including giving them a job offer. My intent behind that is to say that what we do in Digerati enhances your experience. You will have, if you're in an information technology opportunity, many opportunities to learn about different technical aspects of IT. What my interest is to put you in a situation where you can engage with others in the field, peers, experts in the field, but then also explore what you're interested in terms of a future path. So that's one of the things that we'll do. We can assume with reasonable certainty that after college, students are going to either continue into graduate school and therein do research, or potentially apply for a job and go through the application process, or potentially look to start their own business. And so we'll go through all of that with everyone. We also are very concerned with taking breathers away from what student life is like. And so I have an event in Digerati called AFK, which stands for Away from Keyboard. So periodically we take outings into the community and around campus where we explore things maybe outside the realm of what you would normally see in a classroom experience. So for example, last fall, we visited a drone park where we got to fly drones. We visited a hip hop recording studio where we got to experiment with different musical instruments and technology there. We had a gathering, which believe it or not, we have a relationship with one of the three founding people who was responsible for the creation of the internet back in 1970. He actually lives about 40 minutes from here. We had to sit down with him. We've also done things where we've gone completely out into the local area. We did a visit to a local pumpkin patch in October. We also did ice skating at the top of a mountain with hot chocolate. And we've done other outings where we've just gone beyond the community, and we'll do more of that later this year as the weather warms up some. So to hit the highlights again, our community has a small course that's at the start of or at the beginning of the day on Fridays, 8 a.m. We have homemade breakfast in there most days. We have outings. We have social events within the community. We will do things that's designed to help with career advancement. We have informally in the community, which the others can speak about, opportunities for studying. Every Sunday, we have what's called cookies and calculus and cookies and chemistry. So we have study sessions in our building where we have a paid tutor. Any engineering student and perhaps business students will tell you that calculus is initially one of the more challenging courses for most students. You have a chance there to go to a tutor on Sunday afternoons at 3 o'clock. And as reward, usually you get homemade cookies, and you can study there with peers and with a truly trained professional tutor. That's part of what we do as well. I want to kind of pause here for a second to see if you have any questions, those that are joining us. And I see Jacob, Nico, Ashton, and Brianna or Rihanna, not sure how it's pronounced, that's joined us. If you have any questions, and you can post those in the chat, and we'll kind of transition, if there are questions, into more of a discussion with those that are joining here. I will say that Digerati right now is currently recruiting students. Our cohort of first years is 40, is what we're looking to bring in the community. This past year, we had a cohort of 40. We have 16 of the 40 that's returning for a second year, which was around 40%, which is actually rather good. So these folks that you see on the screen will be returning next year, and they represent part of that returner cohort. So if you have any, I don't see any questions yet, but feel free, I'll pause for a second. Jacob, Nico, Ashton, Brianna, do you have any questions right now? And it's okay if you're thinking. Ashton, if I'm not mistaken, you've already accepted your offer to Digerati. Is that correct? Yes, I have. Ashton, you have the distinction of being the first student in next year's cohort. You're the first one to accept a contract, so that's great. That's great.
Yo, welcome.
All right, guys. So what I'm going to do is kind of put my peeps on the spot here. And I hope you all will enjoy, because the folks we have on the screen here is really a cool collection. And I can tell you all the things in a very technical professor type voice here, but the ones on camera know that that's really not my true personality and persona here. We keep it chill in Digerati, So what I'm going to do is pose some questions to my folks so you get a sense of what the culture is like in Digerati. To anyone out there who is part of our Digerati cohort currently, what has been the best thing you have gained from your year in Digerati to this point?
I can answer that a little bit. I would say interview skills. That's something that my high school didn't really focus on as much. And it was really Perry and Digerati that got me going with a lot of really, really good tips. Just for job seeking. I'm not engineering. So a lot of the IT stuff didn't apply to me, but a lot of what Digerati does, and like Perry explained, it's not even fully IT. A lot of it is just preparing yourself for the workforce and just for getting a job, which is probably the biggest thing that helped me.
For me, the biggest thing that I gained was probably the AFK events. Especially like the first semester, can be so stressful because of everything that's going on. And some weeks you just get to go to a farm, you get to go do a corn maze, like Perry said, you get to go to a hip hop studio or a drone park. So it's just nice like at the weekend to just go do something that's not calculus or chemistry.
Personally, I'm really fond of the speakers. One of the best moments of my entire Virginia Tech career was meeting David Raymond. And to most everyone, it's just another professor at Virginia Tech. But to me, I was there when the Virginia Cyber Range became a thing, right? It was groundbreaking, the Virginia Cyber Range. Having learning on a virtual machine, access to the entire state was amazing, and he led all of that. Meeting these people and seeing all these different perspectives is very valuable, and you'll definitely come to see that at Tech.
I would say that mine is the cookies and calculus opportunity, because nobody's gonna really want to sit down and do their homework on a Sunday. So cookies and calculus is like, well, now I can do my homework on a Sunday with a tutor. So it just lets me get my work done.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think one of the things you got is a little bit of different perspectives. On one hand, yes, there is work you have to do. I'm a strong believer in building a community that helps you navigate your work in college. But part of beyond the work, as Abdullah mentioned, is you're going to need some time to recharge. I use the phrase sharpen the saw. And so away from keyboard, as the name suggests, is to say, sometimes it's good to take a step away from the keyboard and just get some fresh air, something different, see something that you haven't seen before. What my folks with Digerati don't know is some of the AFK events coming up, we're going to do some things that even take you a little bit more beyond the keyboard coming up this year. So that includes some activities with animals. It includes some activities with machinery and some things like that, that to me, as you consider what your future is, if you're looking at a major of information technology, there's a tendency sometimes to over assume that you will specialize in a certain area. And I'm one that thinks it's particularly important to know a little bit about some other things, particularly if you're designing things that interact with machinery or interact with other aspects of society. It's good to have an understanding of that. And so I like to see different perspectives. I think it's good for mental health, but I think it's also good just to round out your experience in college. My background, personally, to give you some of my experience as a director, I have been involved in actually 2 other living learning communities, the residential leadership community, which is now the Leadership and Social Change Residential College, and also with the Galileo Living Learning Community, also was part of that as well. So I've had the experience of working with those communities before coming into this role. And so certainly the experiences these students share came from my experiences in other living learning communities, both in looking at things that were needed by students, but maybe even at times things that were not present in those communities that I felt Digerati could bring to the table. I want to ask our folks that are pre-college students to put in the chat the major or majors that you're thinking about going into this semester. And that's Ashton, Brianna, Nico, and I see an iPhone there. I see Jacob as well. Could you just put the majors you're thinking about or major if you're focused? Because one of the things I want to do is invite our students who are perhaps in those majors to reflect a little bit about their experiences this year. So I see Nico, you're looking at CS, that's good. Ashton going into business, potentially BIT there. CS, general engineering to mechanical, also known in slang terms as mechie around tech. So who have I got? Christian, are you CE or CS? Remind me.
I'm in the CS department.
CS. So I see a couple CS. I'll start with you, Christian. What are some lessons learned this year? And I want to give props to Christian. Christian has done incredibly well academically. I don't mean, and I will give props to all of my people. They have done well academically, Kayla included. Kayla and I are kind of frenemies, if you haven't figured this out yet. It was done very well. But Christian, you've gone into CS really hitting the ground running. What has been some things you think that was key to your success so far this year?
So I do always think, the effort I put in what you put in high school, you don't see quite the impact when you get to college. I didn't think it was going to have too much of an impact. I get some college credits, but it made a drastic impact, especially since I declared my major earlier than most general engineering students do. Um, Computer science, it's interesting. Computer science here is very involved with software engineering. And you get a couple different perspectives. But coming into this as your first year, you're going to have to realize that you're not necessarily going to like jump into computer science immediately. You're going to have to jump through the rings that every other general engineering student has to jump through. And that's kind of like I call it the trials of engineering. Get through the first 2 semesters, and then things get to cool down and you get to really develop your interests. And that's one of the really nice things about especially Digerati, because while you're taking chemistry, physics, you get to see all these interesting things that prepare you for when you enter into the department and when you get to those courses, right? All those interests and all those people you met, now you can form even better relationships and really figure out quite what you want to do.
Yeah. Good insights there. Most of our students in Digerati are in CS or computer engineering. But again, we do have students that are in other majors. I don't think I have any business majors on this group among who I have. But Nolan, I'll pick on you for a second. You're not in the engineering track, but as you look at your success this year, and if you haven't noticed, Nolan's in Marching Virginians and all that. He has had, a lot of things on his plate, as many students have. What's been keys to getting through this first year for you?
100%, like no doubt, just keeping on top of your work and developing a schedule that works for you. I was the guy in high school who would start an assignment at 10 p.m. the night it was due. Didn't really work most of the time. It kind of sucked. I don't know how I got into tech. But once I got here, I was really able, and partly thanks to Digerati, honestly, just able to get into a pattern of just what kind of work schedule works for me. Like when to, that includes when to take a break as well. Yeah, just I'd say keeping on top of everything, just kind of planning it all out beforehand, working ahead. Don't do what I did in high school.
So I want to go over to Abdullah is biomedical engineering, I believe, right? Share a little bit, and you've actually been involved in some research programs right off the bat, and so this goes beyond Digerati there. But could you share a little bit about some of the work you're doing right now in the STEAM program? And again, one of the things I'll caveat with this is I view Digerati as being something that helps you connect to the other opportunities at Tech. Whether it's pursuing research or job interviewing or extended community opportunities. Abdullah certainly has taken advantage of those. Could you share a little bit about what you're doing with the STEAM program?
So as Perry already said, I'm in the Esteemed Scholars program, and pretty much what it is it's just an accelerated research program for people in biomedical engineering, chemistry, the physical sciences, just things related to biological sciences. The process is you have to come here over the summer. If you are accepted, you come over the summer and you have to do the STEP program, which I would absolutely recommend if you, even if you're not in engineering, but especially if you are in engineering, you should apply for the STEP program. You should come here. It's really going to set you up for when the semester actually starts, because you will take classes, you will take actual classes, and they are set up to be almost identical to how they are when the semester begins, and the rigor is the same. The schedule is arguably worse. So if you can deal with that when you come your first semester, you'll already be ahead of your peers because everything will not be so brand new. But going back to the STEP program, the esteem program, you get paired with a lab here, and in your first couple weeks of the semester, you go into the lab. They show you what they're trying to research. Personally, my lab is researching a technique used by doctors of osteopathic medicine for Alzheimer's, and they show you what the research process is like, how they come to these questions, what you have to do to be able to write a grant, how you get a grant, how to present at conferences. You get to go to a conference annually. It's called BMES. It's just the National Biomedical Engineering Conference. And you just get a lot of experience with PIs, principal investigators in biomedical engineering and the biological sciences. You get to meet all of the people that are affiliated with these programs, and they have a lot of good insight for you. So if you're looking into anything like that, I would highly encourage you to apply for the esteem program, and more importantly, apply for the STEP program.
Yeah. And the STEP was featured a couple weeks ago. Some of you may have been on that Zoom call. You may recall Christina Martin was the leader of that. Christina is my wife. So one of the benefits of Christina and I working literally side by side is we can really help track students and assist students from different angles. Knowing what your interests are, knowing what you're focusing on helps us to bring different skill sets. Christina's background is in STEM education. My background is more in leadership education and in outreach work, and quite candidly, more of the social sciences. And so sometimes, we can come at things from different angles. Christina can help you, with something more technical, and I can help with perhaps a writing assignment or something like that. So that's a positive. Kayla, I want to pick on you because I always pick on you. One of the things Kayla's done very unique this semester, along with others in Digerati, has been joining a dance group. And one of the things I want to pick on here with that, Kayla, and I think you're a great example of this. We hear a lot of times to advise to first year students to get involved, go find things to do that. You've been a great example of somebody that's gone out and found something out there on campus. Talk about what your reflection on getting involved and doing something outside of class, outside of the community. What's that has meant to you?
I'm in a dance group called Exodus. We are like a K-pop cover group. And I would say that, like, reflection wise, it's definitely, how do I say this? Like, going out there and meeting people other than the people that you know, like in your dorm and stuff, it's definitely helpful. Not only because, like, other people, like outside of like your bubble, but like you get to experience different, like, diverse people, if that makes sense. But also you're exposed to like all the other majors and stuff. Like, there are theater majors, choir majors, there are like so many different majors in the dance group. And then also just like having dance outside of school is so refreshing. I personally do like 6 hours a week of dancing, and that alone, like, it pushes me to do things like, oh, I know I have to do a lot of dance this weekend, so I have to get my work done. But then also, like, it takes your mind off of doing so much work, because you're like really only focused on dancing. So I would say that when you do come here, to like find a hobby outside of school, because that will definitely keep you grounded. And even then, like, just go into a different group in general. Have a club that you go to, because you'll never know the people that you meet there. I know in Exodus, we have study groups, and there are people that have taken all different levels of math, all different levels of science. And if you need help, you can ask them. But yeah, I'd say just like that's how dance has affected me.
Okay. Well, let me go and I'll talk, build on something Kayla just said that I think is an important aspect of Digerati. And that is, she mentioned how you can find people to help with studying or those study groups. Um, Digerati is located in Pritchard Hall on the Virginia Tech campus. We are on the 4th floor. All living learning communities have a lounge that's dedicated to the community. There's also other lounge spaces within the Pritchard dorm. Pritchard is a rather large dorm. One of the things I will tell you is as you've been reviewing options for living, if you've gotten on some of the chat boards and you've looked up Pritchard Hall, okay, there's not a lot of good things people have to say about Pritchard Hall. Okay, so I'm not going to give you any kind of, rose-colored glasses here about this, but I am going to explain how Pritchard Hall is changing. Pritchard Hall for many years has been an open general assignment dorm. Digerati this past year had its inaugural year in the 4th floor of Pritchard Hall. And one of the things that has been a challenge in Pritchard has been noise, shenanigans going on, things like that. And that is part of a college dorm experience. I don't think anyone can sit here and guarantee you that you won't see things that will be distractions. However, next year, Pritchard Hall will be entirely an engineering-focused building. So it include Digerati, but will include Hypatia and Galileo. One of the things that means for how we foresee the building change is that common focus in the academic areas related to technology, engineering, IT, etc., really brings in students who tend to be much more focused on studies and less on things that are distractions to college. It is a culture change we expect in Pritchard. And so one of the things, as you see in the comments there, no, it's not that bad. I think one of the things you see with Pritchard, beyond any of the comments you may see, there's really good lounge spaces in Pritchard. The location of Pritchard is rather good. You've got a good opportunity. And you can see there, Nolan is showing one of our lounge spaces here. You can see you've got screens there if you want to hook up to a computer, generally quiet lounges that are there. There's also what's called the Pritchin in there. Yeah, it is a nice lounge. The Pritchin is the Pritchard kitchen that you have there, which is adjacent our 4th floor. There are renovations that are coming to Pritchard. And to my folks on this call, some of those will likely start this summer. They're not entirely, but there will be upgrades to flooring, to lighting in the hallways that will change out some of the living areas. You will see the sinks being changed out in the community and some changes to the dorms. We are housed intentionally in Pritchard because it is one of the lower cost residence halls on campus. This is a philosophy of our office and of our program. We want our programming to be as accessible as possible, and not the least of which is financially. So one of the reasons we locate in Pritchard is it is lower cost. Now, along with that, no, we don't have air conditioning in Pritchard. And I'll put that back out to our folks who are here from Digerati. In your first year, you've had to adjust to a new living environment and certainly adjust to what the norms are of the building. We know that communal living has its pros and cons. We've talked about some of the pros of a community, and we talk about some things that can be challenges. What has been some of the keys to you all who are currently in Digerati to living on campus? What's been some of the keys to living in Digerati and living in that dorm? How have you adjusted to temperature changes, to your schedule, your routine? What has that been? And to those on the call, as they're thinking of their answer, one of the things I believe um, you should always consider is when you go on a tour of Virginia Tech, everyone is going to tell you it is 75 degrees and sunny all the time and everything. I'm not that person, you know. Um, I believe in giving you the honest answers, but also honesty coupled with how do people live and do their work on campus. And so, to my folks that are on camera here, what's been some of the keys to living on campus in your first year?
I will say, get good shoes. Please, please get good shoes. I my first during step, I got like a blister on top of a blister and then like another blister all on my feet. It was awful. Like you never ever ever want to have to deal with that. Break in your shoes before you get here, but get good walking shoes because there are stairs everywhere, there are hills everywhere. Sure, there are buses, but you're gonna have to take the stairs at some point, and it's awful. So you're gonna hate that if like if you have never had to walk really long distances before, because when you're at Virginia Tech, you're walking like very bare minimum like 3 miles a day. So get good shoes. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
also bring.
my
Yeah, you go,
oh,
Christian.
okay. So for perspective for what Kayla was saying, I think I was averaging a couple thousand steps a day, and I think now I'm averaging like 25,000 steps a day. It's skyrocketed. So shoes, I love Hey Dudes. Though I don't know if I'd recommend them as a walking shoe just because it's almost like you're not walking in anything. So my feet have become a little callous, but you know it's the price of being a Virginia Tech student. Air conditioning, that is something I people are always worried about. And I come from a very long line of Eskimos. So when it gets hot, I melt very quickly. 55 degrees, I am done for. You would be amazed what two box fans can do for your room. Um, really, it is air conditioning is not a problem. Unless you like it sub-zero, I mean, then probably want air conditioning, but it is adjustment. Communal showers, it's not as bad. Really, what all this boils down to when it comes to like communal environments is the people that you're living with. And if you look at our hall, our fourth floor, you look at the section where Digerati is. You look at the floor. You look at the bathrooms, with the exception of a couple people around. And you look at the other hall. There is a big difference. There is not a bunch of trash from the members in a living learning community on the floor being thrown around. It's people usually outside of those. So next year, when you have these communities and having the building, that won't be a problem. It'll be much better than living in a non-living learning community somewhere else that is a nicer, more expensive building.
Yeah, kind of going off what Christian said, bring fans. Two box fans was plenty for me. Like I thought I was gonna be dying that entire time, but I brought one, my roommate brought one, and we were fine the entire summer. And yeah, like you said, it's really just the people you're living with, which there are a lot of very justified complaints about Pritchard this year. But like it is definitely going to get better next year. They are, like Perry said, doing some switch arounds of like who's going to be living where. And yeah, it is kind of astonishing seeing our area, like the area that Digerati occupies, in its cleanliness, as opposed to walking like 50 feet to the other end of the hall, and it looks like wasteland. And yeah, so I would say, yeah, it's absolutely just the people you're living with.
Also, this is tacking on like to the weather aspect. Especially if you guys have been accepted, you guys are going to be here in the fall. Bring things that you can layer. Like you could bring like a t-shirt and a jacket because it gets cold in the like mornings and the nights, but during the day it could get really hot. So I'd say like bring something that you can like adjust your outfit to.
Yeah.
Temperatures when you're a college student, this is a theory of mine. It's a hypothesis that is yet to be tested, but I believe things become less cold when you're a college student. I don't know why, but when it's like 40 degrees, you'll see people in shorts and a short sleeve t-shirt, and they're just chilling. And It's amazing to me. Empirically, it feels the same too. I walk outside and when it says like 37, I'm like, wow, it feels like a solid 55. Then when my parents come for any vacation, like, are you crazy? Wearing shorts and a t-shirt? I'm like, it doesn't feel that bad.
Yeah, no, what's up with that? Like, seriously, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like people are happy when it gets to 50 here. And like, it doesn't feel like it's 50. Like back home, because like back home in Yorktown, like 50 degrees is like pretty cold. Like we were all like wearing our jackets, kind of buckling up. And yeah, now it's like, it was like 50 today. And I went out there in like a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's this weird phenomenon, man. Yeah.
People were playing. It was like 50, and people were playing volleyball. They're all in their t-shirt shorts playing football. It was crazy.
One of the things I'll share is right outside of Pritchard, right outside the door is basketball courts and an outdoor if you ever watch American Ninja Warrior, there's kind of that course that's out there. So a fitness area, there's volleyball courts as well close by. So you have that literally right outside your door at Pritchard. You're also located rather close to the tennis courts. They're just across the road. And if you're into the sports here at Tech, you're within shouting distance of Castle Coliseum and basically Lane Stadium. So getting back and forth to those, it's strategically a rather good location. And good point, Christian. It is a good location for food. You are close to the dining hall there. So strategically, I've always liked Pritchard because of that centrality to campus. And actually, even if you are a gym too is close by, but let's say you need to, pick up something, you can literally like drive right up to Pritchard Hall and somebody can drop something off to you or vice versa. And it's right on the road, which some of the other residence halls don't have that opportunity. They're kind of buried in sidewalks. So that location is rather good. The other thing that I'll mention, and we have a few minutes left, but being that you're part of Digerati and connected to Seed, Seed is in what's called Gilbert Place. And we've got a couple folks in Gilbert Place right now. But if you're looking for really good study space, Gilbert Place is a really great opportunity for you. And it is, in essence, a collection of study lounges and a collection of offices, meeting spaces. If you can see, it's kind of adjacent to what we'll call the downtown area of Blacksburg. So I do see a question that's been posted, so we'll get to that here in a second. But I will encourage you that if you're part of the Digerati community, coming across campus to Gilbert Place kind of gives you a resting spot between classes or even after hours. So students are after hours here working right now. It's a great place for study, and it's brand new. Gilbert Place just opened within the last year. So literally you're in a brand spanking new building. So Abdullah said he can give you a tour of Gilbert third floor. You can certainly see a little of it. Brianna, I see your question there. For the engineering majors in Digerati, what made you choose Digerati over Galileo Hypatia? Feel free to chime in to my peeps on the call here.
So,
Oh,
Oh.
no, you have.
all right, okay. First of all, keep the quarter zip. You know what I'm saying? Peep the quarter zip. This is drip. I don't want to throw no shade. Alopecia don't got it. They don't. They don't got it.
No, do they have one
Look.
t-shirt? Do they have a blue t-shirt?
It's like neon green. Is bro. Where did they get neon green from? That don't even got nothing to do with Virginia Tech. Why is it neon green for? But to seriously answer your question, I was for my scholarship, I had to be in an engineering LLC, and on the phone with this lady, she was telling me about the differences between them, and she told me that Perry Martin was the one that was running Digerati. Now, I didn't know much about Perry Martin, but at the time, I knew a lot about Christina Martin, and I was like, if he's in the company of Christina Martin, then it's got to be good. And I was not wrong. Perry is really funny. Like well, you guys aren't in the group me, but when you're in the group me, he jokes all the time. And like the other day, we were in cookies and calculus, and he was literally just sending shade to Kayla. He was sitting like, imagine I'm sitting right here. Perry's sitting at that table right there. He was sitting there looking at us, sending her shade emails instead of, I don't know, I don't know what he was doing instead of work, but he was just sending us shade emails. And the cookies are really good. The cookies are really good and the bakes are really good. And they said that we'd be eating food in the morning for breakfast. And normally Christina bakes the stuff. Christina's a very good baker. Okay. So I want to be biased, but Galopecia don't hold no candles, no half candles, no quarter candles. I'm just that's all I got. That's all I got. So Perry can't say it, but I can. So that's my piece.
So I remember being in that having that exact question in my mind. I was looking at actually I didn't because it was so new. I only was looking, especially on computer science. Just if anyone forgot, and I was looking and I was thinking, I could. There's only one engineering living learning program, but it feels more catered towards just general engineering. More so, when you think engineering, you think like mechanical. You think someone with a wrench and a piece of steel and doing something with it. And then I looked, all of a sudden on this list appeared Digerati. I'm like, I didn't see that before. Am I missing something? And then I figured out it was a new living learning program. And something about it, it was just new, right? And it seemed like I could get so much more value from it. And at the time, I did not know the size difference. I did not know that a gallon of Hypatia, I think, is around 600,
Yes.
and Digerati is, as our director said, around 40. And you would be shocked at the community difference. When you have a small number of people, you really get to know people. You don't have to do name tags. It's just you see them, you see them around. In a community that big, it's not as interconnected, and then that's a common theme. I fall under the CS department, and there's thousands of people in the CS department, and very few people know one another. And it's really nice that you have a very small, close-knit community. Everyone knows our director. Also, we have by far the best living learning program director. I've met almost all of them, and there is no replacing our director. They're just not.
Yeah, and kind of what Abdullah was going off of. It's the thing that drew me towards Digerati. So I originally was computer engineering before this past semester. So I was still going into it like full-fledged, like full engineering student. Same as all the other people on this call. And I was trying to make that decision between Galileo and Digerati. And the thing that ended up kind of bringing me towards Digerati was that tight-knit community that Abdullah was talking about. You'll have Perry like casually just throwing shade literally at any moment. Like you do not know. It could be now. Like he could be doing it right now and we would not know. Between that, just like Christina, absolutely amazing. Just baking us just really nice breakfast goods for every like meeting. To the point where like even though it's at 8 a.m., like I'm honestly excited to go to it. Because it doesn't feel like a chore. Like it just feels like fun. As opposed to like a lot of the other people I've talked to in Galopecia, where they're like, oh, gotta go to that class. It's like super early. And then like have a bunch of other like community service requirements, different project requirements that are like take up a lot of time. Whereas Digerati is much more laid back as well.
Well, I appreciate the unscripted props that came my way there, and I think one of the things, and we're closing on time here, but I'll put my folks on the spot and they can say it all together here. But what is our motto in Digerati?
Rise over run.
I'm late, but it's rise over run. And listen, y'all,
Yeah, it is.
when you get here, because I'm expecting to see y'all come this next semester. When you get here, we have to get tangent proofs on the shirt. I've been telling Perry about it. We're gonna do it.
No, we're doing that.
We're gonna do it. So when y'all come, you're gonna help me hold him accountable.
Okay.
Yeah. I would also like to hold for the record that all of these things we've discussed has occurred over really one in like a quarter of a semesters. So it's not like we, especially Perry, it's not like he's been, all these ideas have just been years of development. This is just the beginnings. There's so much more that is likely to happen.
Yeah, that's just the first year as well.
Yeah, and part of what I do, and I appreciate the kind words, Caleb, but I think one of the things we try to do is to get to know the students and get to know where do you want to go from here. And my interest, a lot of times when we say, hey, we're focused on academics, and the assumption is, oh, well, that's a bad thing. We've got to do it. I don't see it way. I think we focus on academics for the purpose of where does that take you? What are you interested in doing? I've asked the question to some students this week, who are still trying to figure out what they want to do. And I say, okay, our goal is for you to talk about what you want to do and smile when you say it. And that means that what you're doing, you're looking forward to, you're excited about it. And it's okay to get to that first year of college and still be uncertain, but we work towards it. And that's what my strong belief in Digerati is, yeah, we may start with a common thread of IT, but from that, we're going to go, and individualize this to where you want to go with it. So, Abdullah, I see you had something else. You got one more thing if time allows. So I'll hand it over to you.
What the only thing I was gonna say is just to touch base on Perry and Christina. They are literally us like both assistant directors of Seed. So when you get to know them, when they get to know you, when they get to see what you're interested in, what you like to do, they will send opportunities your way. Like every week, every other week, I get emails from Christina and Perry that are just like, oh, hey, you said you were interested in this. I saw this, like, check it out. Or like they'll be like, I need volunteers, or I need people for this job. I think you'd be good for it. Are you willing? And they'll send it your way. So that is something that you will uniquely only get at Digerati, because only Christina Martin and Perry Martin are only at Digerati. So the opportunities are really everywhere, especially with those two at the head.
Well, we're at 6:58. I thank my folks from Digerati for their kind words and perspective. I hope to Jacob, Nico, Brianna, Ashton, that maybe this helps you a little bit. I certainly think I speak on behalf. Yeah, we got our gang symbol there, Rise Over Run, so yeah. So on behalf of everyone in Digerati, if you decide this community is something that you're interested in, I am more than happy to have a conversation with you, your family. I'm sure that the folks on the call would be glad to have that conversation as well with you, and talk about their experiences at Tech. You see, we've got folks hitting you up with email addresses there that you can find out more information. But I do welcome you to be a part of our community. It is special. We look forward to another cohort next year. And I will say this, my hope is that if I'm going to bring you out at 8 a.m. on a Fridays, it's going to be worth it for you. So you can hopefully enjoy what we do in Digerati and enjoy the community that we're building, and hope you can be a part of it if you think it's for you. That is all I have for the evening. We're at 7 o'clock, and I'm sure someone out there has homework to do. So I will bid you all adieu. If there's others that you think might be interested in Digerati, it is okay for you to bring people into your room. So if you tell me that, hey, I'm interested in Digerati, I've got someone I want a room with. No, maybe IT is not the exact thing they're after, but they think it would be interesting. I am fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with bringing folks in. Certainly, we're IT focused, so we'd like to see them have IT focus. But Talon, who was on the call earlier, and his interest is in beekeeping, and I'm good with that. He sees some interest in IT, but at the end of the day, he's really fallen in love with biological sciences, and there's definitely intersections there, so I am glad to support whatever gives you a buzz, so to speak, to pardon the dad joke there. So But anyhow, and also write really interesting newsletters. So one of the things you can look forward to, that if you're in the community and I send out newsletters, rest assured I will have snarky comments hidden within the newsletter that prompts people to read the newsletter wondering who is going to be the target. Elizabeth, bless her heart, has gotten a lot of it this year. So there are Easter eggs in there as well. So hope you join us. Hope you can sense the love and the fun we have for it. And unless there's any other final questions, I will let you go for the evening. I'll do this proper like a talk show. For Christian Franklin, Nolan Russell, Kayla Osborne, Abdullah Cargo, this is Perry Martin with Digerati Living Learning Community, wishing you a good evening. Signing off. Have a good evening, folks.